Hey everybody, it's Victor here, and as you can tell by the title of the video, time for a nation guide, and this one is for Aq Quyunlu. Now before I actually get started with the guide itself, I wanted to point out that this is being recorded in 1.31.4. The reason I'm bringing this up is the person that asked for this video specifically wanted 1.30. Now I'm still going to go into how you do this in 1.30, because it's really the same strategy, just a few subtle differences, and I'll point them out. But the reason I'm doing it in this patch is simply put, more people are playing it than in the old Emperor patches now. The Leviathan patches have kind of fixed the problems, whereas the Emperor one still had a major flaw, and that is the debt spiral. So if you want to play in the Emperor patches, you can, but be aware you're going to be dealing with the debt spiral, whereas if you simply played the current patch, you wouldn't have that problem, nor would you have the other bugs. So it's up to you, but I would recommend the current one. And I simply want this guide to be more useful for more people that are playing it, so it'll remain relevant for longer. So I'm moving forward with this. So let's get started. As you can see here, it is an Iron Man mode, so it will work in your game. I wanted to start first talking about the diet mission. Now you'll have a few in here, whether it's getting allies, giving Demi privileges, whatever it happens to be, but the one you need to look for and take if you have the opportunity is either a claim on Dulcadir or a claim on Trebizond. These are your two easy expansion paths that you're going to be taking, and simply getting them early will make you get into a war faster. So it's simply better timing. If you happen to get one on Samske or Hisin Kaifa, do those first, because that's great. However, I've only seen it once. Only once in all of the times I've tried through this, and that's about 75 times. So the likelihood it's coming up, almost no. So don't expect it. Now what I have here is taking Trebizond, so I'm going to take that one. If you have both Dulcadir and Trebizond, because that has happened, take Trebizond. Even if you don't get admin points that Dulcadir does, take Trebizond first. Now go ahead and release Syria. You want this vassal. The reason why is if you look at their cores, they have a lot to conquer. You can release them later if you really want to. However, that means you will not be able to integrate them as fast and get all of this land here under your tag. So by releasing them now, you're doing it so you can integrate them, or at least start at it, in November of 1454, which is going to be really quickly, roughly when you're going to be taking out the Mamluks in that war. Now go ahead and make your ruler into a general, and then make him general his army. Even if he is hot garbage as a general, keep him as a general, simply because if you look here, he is a hot garbage ruler. You want this heir. This heir is completely static. He is always going to have these stats, and he'll always have this trait. These stats are always static for the ruler, however the trait does change. But if you look, no matter what trait he happens to spawn with, even if he's a conqueror and reduces separatism or tech cost, there's an 8 mana point difference. 8 mana points. It is not worth keeping this guy around, so you want to incentivize him to shuffle off the mortal coil as quickly as humanly possible. The quickest way to do that is having him siege a province as a general. So you want him to lead the troops. Now go ahead and move your army to whatever you happen to be fighting first. Unless you have a claim on Dulcadir and nobody else, that's going to be Trebizond. You're really going to go after them first. Next, hire a free company and drop them there. Now I wanted to point this out now because there's a couple of things I need to explain here. It doesn't really matter what your privileges are at all. So I'm going to leave them blank because it has no impact. Pick whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. That said, these two provinces, if you notice, have an unrest problem. And specifically, they have Coptic zealots firing. The reason I wanted to point this out is because if you look, this is not based on the religion. So if you give the Demi privilege, where they won't rebel if you simply give it, because it will take away the religious unity penalty, these guys will still fire. And they will still be Coptic zealots. The way unrest works is the rebel type will change on whatever is in that province causing the most unrest. In this case, it's not base, because that really doesn't link to anything. It is religious unity, which is causing them to want to rebel. That's it. However, it's the base that's actually causing it. The reason why you have so much base unrest in these provinces is historically, Eretna was just conquered. So this is supposed to be separatism. They did not code it as separatism, though. They just coded it as base. It will decay just like separatism, though. In fact, it'll decay probably a bit faster than separatism, but these guys will still fire. As a result, you're going to have to deal with them. You have a couple of ways you can. Now, you can choose if you want to flip Coptic, but you'll have no allies here. This one Coptic country is a vassal, so they're not going to ally with you, and everybody else is going to think you're a heretic or a heathen, and you're going to be diplomatically isolated and destroyed almost every time. If you're going to flip religion, flip Orthodox. It's a better religion than Coptic in the game. If you're going to stay Sunni, which I highly recommend, you're fighting them, or you're giving them autonomy. I'd recommend fighting them because this is all mountain land. They will usually spawn in this top province here. And here's the thing. Just put your troops in either of these two provinces. They'll either walk into your troops, giving you a defensive advantage, and you'll wipe them out, or they'll walk into the other one. If that happens, wait. Because they will either walk into your troops then, or they'll walk into your capital, which is a fort, meaning you will then have the defensive on this highlands or in the mountains. So they're not very difficult to take out, you just have to be patient. Or you can simply be in a war with the Ottomans as an ally, and they will mop them up for you. But at this point, your army is moving in, everything's relatively set up. Let's go ahead and talk now about your diplomacy. Your main expansion paths are going to be Dulkadir, Trebizond, up here in the Caucasus, and then finally Hisn Kaifa. After that, it'll be Mamluks and Aq Quyunlu, so you're going to need allies to help take on these two targets. The two biggest allies you can get are Ottomans and Ajam. Ottomans being obviously the number one you have to get. However, they're not going to be willing to ally you. They will be more likely to because you are threatened by the Mamluks. Simply put, you're potentially going to be taken out by the Mamluks, so they will be willing to jump in and protect you. However, if you royal marry them, if you look, you'll be relatively close, and you will have two of those negatives removed once you are done hiring the Free Company, meaning the Ottomans are more likely to ally you just by hiring the Free Company. I know that some people are going to try and make a normal army and do it that way. Don't do it, just hire the Free Company. There is a reason why. I'll get to that soon, but there is a reason why. As far as Ajam will ally you day one, so long as they are rivaled to Aq Quyunlu. The reason why? Because you are also threatened by Aq Quyunlu, which means they will ally you in day one if that happens. If they are not rivaled against Aq Quyunlu, and they are, say, rivaled against Mushasha, just scornfully insult Mushasha. That will make them like you enough where they will ally you. And that's it. Now that is the two allies that you need by necessity. The next ones are more allies of convenience. You have Crimea, you have Great Horde, and you have Nogai. Crimea and Great Horde, however, are a bit more annoying than real allies of convenience. The reason why is because they can also ally Dulkadir. In fact, Dulkadir can ally the Ottomans, Ajam, Crimea, or the Great Horde, so they can be particularly annoying. However, the Ottomans, you're going to ally no matter what. You want them as an ally. So you have to try and go for that. Great Horde and Crimea, if you royal marry them now and then they ally Dulkadir, that is obviously just going to become a dead Diplo relation slot because you're not going to want to have them because you're eventually going to be going into Dulkadir. So you're simply going to wait before you ally anybody up here to see how it all shakes out. But the Ottomans and Ajam, you're going to definitely grab. And I will say this, I've done this about 75 times as testing it. I've only seen the Ottomans ally Dulkadir once. I've only seen Ajam ally Dulkadir twice. Great Horde about 10 times, Crimea about 4. So it happens, but it's not extremely common. They will more likely ally Beapus. So let's go ahead and unpause it, let it go for a couple of days, and now when your diplomats come back, you are not worrying about the allies then. You are simply going to start spying on your other expansion paths. If you do not have a claim on anybody, start Trebizond, Dulkadir, and then pick between Samskate and Histon Kaifa. It really doesn't matter which. If you have one, just spy on the other ones and just get it done. You are then going to wait until the end of the month, because this will give you 1 tick on the spy networks. And now you can pull them back and use those diplomats for something else. In this case, it is simply waiting for the Ottomans to be willing to ally you. And there we go. Now we look here and see how it shook out. Oh, by the way, the Great Horde will ally you day 2 only if they rival Aq Quyunlu. They're rivaled by them, but not against them, so they're not willing to ally you day 1 or day 2. In this case, though, you can either royal marry them and wait a month, or you can simply find one of their rivals. In this case, it's Kazan. If you ever do this, by the way, and you scornfully insult, which is how you get them to ally you, a person in order to get an alliance like this, find whoever is the furthest afield from you. In other words, if I needed to scornfully insult somebody to get the Ottomans, their rivals, the furthest away from me, would be Hungary. The reason why is if I scornfully insult Aq Quyunlu, they're more likely to get involved in my business. Whether that's intervening in a war, or enforcing peace, guaranteeing somebody, warning me, whatever it happens to be, it makes it more likely. By insulting Hungary, Hungary's not going to do anything. They're too far away to matter. So just scornfully insult whoever is the least of a worry. Wait a day, get the Great Horde, and now I'm simply waiting for diplomats to come back again. And in this case, I'm going to miss 1 diplomat by a day. However, now I am ready to go to war. So in this case, if you are in 1.30, you must do this war alone. You cannot call in the Ottomans at all, unless you are willing to give them Trebizond. They will only take Trebizond. If you are in 1.31, check their vital interest provinces. If they set Theodoro as a vital interest province, they will take it instead. So go ahead, declare war, do not co-belligerate Theodoro. Even if they have another ally in here that you would like to take, such as Georgia or Imereti or whatever it is, do not co-belligerate them. I'll explain why in a bit. But I'm going to go ahead, call in the Ottomans, promising them land, and go in. This is the other reason why you want to have the Free Company. You need to be able to siege Trebizond on your own, completely, without ever needing the Ottoman help. The reason why is, simply put, if you are unable to do it yourself, they will send all of their forces to help you siege Trebizond. And I say that help with very big air quotes. Here's the thing, you want to have as much war participation as humanly possible. So you want them to go up and take out Theodora while you are taking out Trebizond, because you will get more because you're going to have to take longer sieging down a mountain fort. Now I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording here. I will bring y'all back once I am done with this war. I'll see you then. And welcome back. As you can see, the war is finally over. Unfortunately, my siege was taking so long and was so slow. I'm pretty sure Drax thought it was invisible. So, this is why I did the way I did. As I said before, you hunt the Free Company because otherwise they'll come down, all that. I wanted to point out, just in case I did not, because I'm not sure if I did. Otherwise, if the Ottomans send all their troops here, Theodora will come here and siege out the Balkan lands of the Ottomans, making it so they're more likely to peace out. Now that that's been talked about, let me go ahead and explain why you did not co-belligerate Theodora. As you can see, they will take Theodoran land. Again, they will not do this in 1.30, so if you call in the Ottomans, you have to give them Trebizond. But if I take the land here, they're still happy with it. However, the way favors work is, when you give an ally land in the war, it takes the war participation and compares it to the war score value that they're getting. However, as you can see, it's 17% here, and Trebizond is 21%. But when you actually look in the war, in the peace treaty, Theodora's worth 34%. The reason why is if you do not co-belligerate somebody, it increases the war score province value by doubling it. In essence, Ottomans are going to get more value out of this than I would in this peace treaty. As a result, if I give them this land, I will get favors with them because, well, this peace treaty would be equal if they had 66% war participation. I have 76%. So it is a massive, weighted in their favor peace treaty according to the equation. Just to prove this, right now I have 3 favors with them, because favors are easier in the current patch than they were in the old ones. Now if I do this, and give me 1 second while I do it, I now have 20 favors with them. In other words, if I had simply let the years tick by and used that to get favors with the Ottomans and nothing else happened, I just got 100 years worth of favors simply by giving them Theodoro. If I do this in 1.30 and I give them Trebizond, and I am the one that did all the work, I would get about the same amount of favors. Meaning that now they are more than happy to come in and fight the Mamluks for me, not expecting any land, or fighting Aq Quyunlu and not expecting anything because they can't get it. Now, if you are in 1.30 and you do not want to give them Trebizond because, well, it's part of your state, on top of that, it's a good province, it is a mountain fort, and it would prevent them from expanding in this direction. What you do instead is, before you're done with the war, you start spying on Kandar. Also, you need to start improving relations with the Ottomans. Every time you take a province that they thought was vital interest, they're still going to want it. They'll simply move it to a strategic utility. If they get below, I believe it's 80 opinion with you, they will sacrifice enough, making them hostile to you. They'll break the alliance, and suddenly you do not have them as alliance anymore, no matter how many favors you had. So big problem. Improving the relations will make it so they don't care if you take out, at this point, Dulkadir. So because Dulkadir does not have anyone here protecting them, in fact, Beapus will probably not be involved for much longer because they're currently being sieged out. I'm going to go ahead and take them out while I'm waiting for Kandar here to get ready. And then I'm going to show you what happens if you were in 1.30. You would simply use Kandar and feed them to the Ottomans and feed them Ramazan as well. If they're allied to Karaman, you give them the Karaman land, non-co-belligerated. Because you can give them 3 provinces here, because they'll be doubled, and you'll get a lot of favors. I'll just show you how many you'll get just from Kandar. So I will be back. I'm also going to, after I declare the war, start spying on Karaman so I can drop quick claims with them. So, I'll see you guys when I'm done. And welcome back. As you can see, this war is over. And I wanted to show you at this point, well, first, Dulkadir's not exactly having a good time. However, once I piece out Dulkadir, the Ottomans will take an opinion hit. It'll be a pretty big one. Yeah. However, I'm basically writing that, will they remain good allies? If they turn hostile, it's over. But, here's the nice thing. If you can get them to come into this war now, perfect, because then you can give them the land. If you find yourself in this situation where they have too much debt, so they don't want to come in, if you have the favors, go ahead, tell them to prepare for war. You'll get more out of this than the 10 favors, so don't worry about it. Now that you have them getting ready to come to war, consolidate your troops, and get ready to run up there as quickly as you can. The reason why is you want to get on Sinop before anybody else. That's really it. So go ahead, promise them land. Now they're more than willing to come in, even though they like the enemy. You're not co-belligerating Ramazan for the exact same reasons as before, and we're going to war. We're going to jump down here, wipe them out, leave our mercenaries behind, and then go up to take on Sinop. The reason why is now the Ottomans will not come down here and help with this siege at all. It is only ours to gain war participation. Again, this is not land we're actually taking. It does not matter to us whatsoever. First, the Ottomans will come over here and help us with our rebels, which is probably more valuable to us than this land itself. But more importantly, because we will have at least some war participation. The more the better, but they are getting 100% of the land. They will like us a lot more for doing exactly this. The one thing I will tell you now, do not try and get cheeky and take Ramazan yourself. That will make the Ottomans despise you, because you are now breaching into the territory that they absolutely want. You can get away with just the right amount of finesse and improving relations and helping them conquer other things, but the moment you start pushing into these states along this border here is when they are no longer going to like you. You can continue along this path and take the Caucasus though, and you'll be fine. So long as you keep improving relations, because you want this as close as possible to 200 just to make sure they don't rival you. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording again just because I'm waiting for these sieges to be done. I'll bring you guys back when they're done. I'll see you then. And welcome back. As you can see, war's over. Here's the one thing I can point out to you. Oh, sorry. When you're in this kind of a war, when you are, do not let yourself have, or the Ottomans have, the occupation while you're waiting for diplomats to come back. Make sure you hold the occupations until you're ready to peace out. The reason why is if you flip all of these provinces to the Ottomans, they may very easily peace out, take the land they want, and you get no favors. They don't care about that. So make sure you swap them over, give it to the Ottomans, and I mean all of it. Again, don't get cheeky with this. And as you can see, I hold about 42% participation. So they did more of the work, but I did not just simply sit around. And I have 13 favors. I'm going to hand them all the land. And again, remember, I did not co-belligerate Ramazan, which means that one province is 38 war score. As such, I can do this. They're getting all the land, and I went from, again, 13 favors, had to remind myself, to 45 favors. Meaning they are now more than happy to do whatever it is I ask for. If I help them with Karaman, that'll be another 30-ish favors, meaning they'd be more than happy to fight anybody for quite a long time because I will have plenty of wars I can call them into. Now here's the thing. Right now Ajam is in another war, but once they are ready, they would probably come in. In 1.31, I will usually have enough favors by this point to be able to call them in, or almost. I have almost enough favors, probably by the end of the year. I could call them in without them actually expecting any land out of the deal. Which means I can take whatever I want. And the Ottomans will come in too because they love me. With the Mamluks, the Ottomans will be more than happy to come in and help. Which will make it an even fight because the Ottomans will typically be stack wiping the Mamluks down here, and they will hand over all of the Syrian provinces to Syria. With the Mamluks, however, I do recommend you wait until Fadl here is integrated, because you'll be paying more to take these provinces simply because they're a part of the vassal and not the main war goal target, so their cost is increased. I don't know why they did it that way, but they did. As a result, do the first war, take on Aq Quyunlu, because by the time that war is done, you can take on the Mamluks. When you go after Aq Quyunlu, you can go ahead, call in the Ottomans. This will massively make the war in your favor. When you call in Ajam 2, that'll add in a lot more, making this a totally one-sided war that you don't really need to pay attention to. And the provinces you take are Rabha, I'm going to mispronounce this, I know I am, but this province, Sinjar, and Mosul. You can take other provinces if you really want, but you're paying more aggressive expansion than you need to. The reason why is right here, Sinjar is a correct culture, Iraqi core. Which means you can release Iraq from here. Mosul also has an Iraq core, but the wrong culture, so you cannot release them from Mosul, but that has a fort. So you are permanently making it so it's easier to run amok in Aq Quyunlu, making it a much easier war in the future. And you are able, since you are reconquering their lands, reducing their liberty desire by a lot, able to take the Syrian lands and take them back for them, and the Iraqi lands and take them back for them. Without even expanding up here, they will remain loyal for you. Meaning you'll be able to integrate them. If you go expand up here, you'll be perfectly fine. There's a few other things I want to cover briefly, because I'm not going to go into any more wars, because I'm not continuing with this game. When you go after Aq Quyunlu, you can go ahead and take the time you're at war with them, because they warned you, to take out somebody like Hisn Kaifa. The reason why is because this 17,000 is not going to be able to stand up to the Ottomans plus Ajam. It's just not going to happen. It cannot happen. They will lose pretty much no matter what. You just have to be paying some attention and they're done. As far as this warning is concerned, it can vary if they warn you or not. This is basically the two events that I have seen in the, again, 75 times I've run through this, that I have seen this happen one way or the other. Either they rival the Mamluks. They will then see you, and this won't make them willing to ally you, but they will have that you are under threat by the Mamluks. So they will guarantee you, just to prevent Mamlukian expansion. If they guarantee you, they will not warn you, at least not right off the bat. You'll be able to take out Hisn Kaifa and Samskay and potentially Georgia before they will get wise and actually warn you. If you get away with that, perfect. If not, oh well. And the other time is if early on, Ajam over here gets a claim against them before they warn you and declare war. The times that happen, from what I can gather, is when they get a diet mission against them. They don't declare any other kind of wars. That is about it. I will also warn you, I've only seen this happen once, but if Dulkadir insults the Mamluks and gives them a diplomatic insult CB, the Mamluks will declare and will usually just leave Divriji up here as the only province left of them. If that happens, I'm sorry, you're going to have to fight the Mamluks for those provinces too. Not the end of the world, but simply because the Ottomans will definitely help you do it. With that, you are pretty much ready to go and play Aq Quyunlu and dominate the area simply by lining up on their borders, giving them a false sense of security, and when they start counting your soldiers there, they'll slowly fall asleep, and then you attack. But I hope this guide helps you guys out. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. It'll mean a lot if you go subscribe it. Plus, you'll be seeing more of this kind of content no matter what. So it'll make it so it's easier for you guys to catch it. Second, I'm also doing mechanic guides, so you'll see those too. I've already done army composition and I've done aggressive expansion. I'm probably going to do trade at some point very soon, and I'm going to go in depth to hopefully explain how this daunting of a mechanic works, since most people don't seem to understand it. Now, if you have a specific mechanic or a nation you guys want to see, leave it in a comment below. I'm already getting compiled on people's requests, so getting it on the list now will make it so you have it now as opposed to 3 months from now. So just let me know. I have no problem doing whatever it is you guys happen to do, and I'll try to include, as I did this time, what you do in the situation of the specific thing you're asking for, which here was 1.30. You simply do the exact same thing. You either just give them Trebizond or you fight that war alone, and then if you're taking Trebizond yourself, you give them Kandar, you give them Karaman. You'll have plenty of favors to do whatever you need. But I hope you guys enjoyed this content. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.